people going out buying off plan, my rule, anything under 10 years versus an established block, people buying into strata complexes. I know I asked you downstairs, can I ask you about this off the cuff? You said, yeah. Without any warning, and I know that you'll give us the best possible advice. Some of these new buildings, John, when people are buying off plan, or as I said, under 10 years, I'm going to say under 10 years of age, it all looks shiny on the outside.
Oh.
You know you're committed to strata costs. But what are your
everything looks good in the brochure when you look at it. A lot of these buildings are, the design, the way they look is great. I think that's big tick.
Mm-hmm.
Biggest problem I find is that these ones would have just been under construction and coming to completion in the last 2 or 3 years. With the cost blowouts to build, people have taken shortcuts. That's one. And I think private certification has been the other issue. As I know certifiers, and they're bloody good.
Yes.
And do a very good job. But there's other companies, construction companies, builders and developers or whatever, use guys who can basically, sign off on things, which probably they shouldn't.
You say there's buildings.
Well, back in the day, everything, you had to go through council. They come down and inspect it and they'd sign off on it.
You tell me if I'm exaggerating. An industry leader in the construction game once said to me recently, Mark, the slabs used to be put down and left for 30 days. Now they're throwing these buildings up in 7. You say there's buildings, I'm saying there's suburbs, without mentioning them, that is almost, like you said, the brochure looks good, but gee whiz, buyer beware, because you're committed to the stratas. But again, asking for a friend, you are dictated to by your owners committee or body corporate. They could throw a special levy at you as an owner at any time. Correct me if I'm wrong.
If you bought something, typically if there's, if it's, you go and buy something and then you go and, you move into it and then you got your defects you can fill out and everything like that. They're just generally things which come up are cosmetic things.
Yeah, correct.
But then and you should have your building warranty where you can get, over 7 years where people can come back and developers and builders can come back and, make good if there's an issue. So it could be a planter box which is leaking, down under the garage, or there's leaking going into the garage. They've got to come back and make good. But the problem is there's been companies which have come and gone.
Correct.
People sort of, all of a sudden that company has folded and that person's collapsed and you're trying to chase the people, get them back, you can't, and then, they go and form another company or
correct
someone else's name or whatever,
correct.
And then they start again.
And they've all got form.
Yeah, I think, look, there are a lot of credible builders out there, a lot of credible certifiers and everything like that. Unfortunately, there's an element which which are in the industry, which has caused a fair bit of havoc. And I think a lot of those newish blocks, which are new, sometimes it takes a couple of years for the problems to start to come through.
You got it.
And that's when the problem arises where, you're chasing the builders, they're trying to do a deal, they won't come back. Then you got to get the lawyers involved, the body corporate's involved, everyone's got to tip in the fund, to chase these guys. And then, they come back and they say, there's $500,000 worth of, rectification works. They said, well, we're only tipping in 200 because we think we can get it done.
Well, you've been down this track.
It just goes on. Well,
You've been down this track.
So I just know, and then
you haven't been looking at my building report, have you? My goodness gracious!
Well, that's what happens. Well, people.
Well, we together fast tracking the positive or the upside. How much is to be said for those 70s and 80s red brick, cream brick, sinking fund? As you said, they're just solid as a rock.
Well, a lot of them, from a design point of view, would probably look very ordinary. from
But
a
inside
construction
they're
point of view
beautiful.
is I mean, some have been there 50, 60 years, haven't got a crack in them,
Correct.
and solid as a rock.